Hello, everyone. It is amazing to see you again. This is our fourth week of working through the series of what it takes to be the modern leader and what it takes to build sustainable and healthy success so we don't leave success in the BS with a burnout or sacrifice. So today, while we are giving a minute for people to arrive, I would like to just express my personal huge gratitude and excitement because we are going to be treated to the most amazing person that I met in the last few months, Jessica Hinz. Jessica, if you can just say hello.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. Nice to see most of you. I see a few of you, but I understand we're all, in different areas, different times, and we may need to keep our camera off, but it's nice to be here.
Thank you, Jessica. So I'll give you a spiel about who Jessica is, and you will absolutely be prepared to be mind blown and prepared to be working today. What I would like you to do is, this is a little bit more of less to know, more to do. Please get up. I'm going to be standing all time. You can stand. It will get your iWatch happy too. It's all about doing things. So please do open your cameras and keep you on mute, but open your cameras because it's a practical session and it will help Jessica to see what you're doing and help you and correct you. She is a therapist. She is the licensed therapist and a yoga practitioner, but not the typical yoga teacher. She's just so amazing. But before we jump in and still we see people coming in, what I would like you to do is we always start with a couple of questions. First of all, please find the chat. What country are you from? This is important because you know that we are global change makers, and it's so helpful to see how different diversity and perspectives are helping in our discussion, and also will help you to find the chat because that's micromotorics, allow you to activate more of your brain, and that expands your ability to learn, practice, absorb, and be awesome. So I see some people responding. Awesome. We have India and Maryland and Bangladesh and Eva living in Vienna. I suppose Vienna, United States, not Vienna, Austria. We see Italy, Virginia, Uzbekistan, Puerto Rico, Milan, Mongolia, Brazil, Idaho, which is a new country in the United States, Peru, Arizona. Awesome. Please stay connected through chat. Number 2, this is a series, Modern Leader Success and Wellness 360. And we are bringing this to celebrate all of us all months. But this is a whole person perspective. So we'll be talking about inner multi-universe, outer multiverse, your relationship, different dimensions of life. Please keep this bigger perspective when you are listening to things and doing things with us. Number 3, I would like you to please put in the chat, what's your intention to be here? When you set the intention, your mind is listening to the solutions that is focusing on, and it will be focusing on one action that will ask you to then do in the end of the session. Intention will help you learn way more effectively and make a decision in the end of this session. So our intention is to blow your mind by opening the perspective, what's possible, how awesome you are, and how little we play because someone told us to shrink our dreams. And we're going to be tapping in the incredible intelligence that we all carry in our body, in our hearts, in our souls, in our life, in our community, and we are challenging, intentionally breaking down the boxes that someone once put us in so we can redesign. We can redesign us, our perspectives, our life, our relationships, our happiness, our fulfillment, and most importantly, redesign the world we're all creating because we create either problems or solutions, and people are watching. Kids are watching, teams are watching, communities are watching. We matter. So with all of that, please put the intentions. Awesome, awesome. Healthier me, says Joanne. Be present and learn something new and something I didn't consider before, says Paola, and I will challenge a little bit. You already know it all. You just need to learn how to do it and do it. Learn something more about me, says Ida. How to manage my body and not to get stressed, says Roxana. Awesome. We are recording this conversation, but you will not be shown to anyone. So don't be afraid to be showing on the camera. They will not see you. They will only see me and Jessica. But do please put cameras on and participate. Any questions for us? If yes, please put in the chat. With that, I want to bring on stage the most amazing, multi-passionate, amazing partner, friend, mentor, coach, peer, Jessica Hinz. She will introduce herself, but I want to tell you that just like I am a super multi-passionate human being, 5 kids and mom and dreamer and dancer and musician and life coach and corruption investigator and everything I want to be, so is Jessica. She is musician, she is an artist, she is a designer, she is the trainer, the coach, the yoga, and the most amazing expert on human body and human technology. So please welcome Jessica, and please, Jessica, introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. I wish everybody felt that way about me. That would be excellent. Thank you for that. First of all, I do want to thank Olga for inviting me into this conversation. Olga has been such an inspiration for me to stay curious and to dive more into the passion that I have surrounding the connective tissue. And we're going to be talking pretty much in depth on what the connective tissue is. Some of you may already know what it is, but I'm going to see if I can kind of stimulate you just a little bit more on how to use it. So first of all, I just want to preface that, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I do have over 2 decades of applied wisdom, and I have taught hundreds upon hundreds of people on how to reconnect with their connective tissue, how to reconnect with their bodies. And it's not just about reconnecting with the body, but about understanding how to connect with it so that you can negotiate and navigate through your life differently. So if there's any area in your life where you're feeling somewhat stuck, we kind of stay in the mindset to think, okay, well, how can I get myself out of this situation? When we can drop just a little bit deeper and work with the connective tissue in areas where it might be stuck, to elongate them, to help us move through and to really live in fulfillment. So the first thing I want you to kind of be aware of is that we're going to be asking you a lot of questions. So I really want you guys to be involved in the chat as much as possible. And I really am wanting you guys to focus on being aware in a different way. And what I mean by that is really understanding that we're always articulating something on the physical. So everyone sitting here, we can see your camera, everybody's articulating something in that nonverbal communication. You might look at a few people on screen and say, oh, that person looks interested, or that person looks a little fatigued, that person looks, kind of disinterested, right? We're always communicating something. And it's not that that is something to be overlooked. It's constant communication to other people, but also constant communication in ourselves, okay? So we're really just kind of bringing about that awareness before we actually even start going into things. So the first thing I want to show you, it's a video it's a brain exercise, and many of you have probably done this exercise before. But what I really am looking forward for you to, what I really want you guys to do is when I start to play this video, I want you to become aware of the moment in space from having to make one decision or one thought to another thought. There's this moment where you're gonna have to, hey, this isn't quite right, now I have to make another decision. And what that space actually feels like to you. And when we go through this, I'll have you, after the video is played, put in the chat what you may have felt. When I first did this exercise, I felt frustration. So just kind of setting the tone just a little bit. When I first did it, I felt frustration. I felt like, how could I not be able to accomplish this, or how could I not make this, how come this is so hard for me to do? When I do this, I know that you guys are probably on mute, but if you want to say this stuff out loud, so this is basically saying the color, not the word. It's where there's flashes of a word, but that also have a color on it. And so you're supposed to say the color, but not the word. If you've done it before, like some of you have done it before, So we're going to do this again. And what I want you guys to do, if you want to say it out loud, you can keep yourself on mute, but if you want to say it out loud, go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
So we can type in the chat, so that's also quite interesting. And for those of you who are new to these conversations, this is a whole person discussion. So we consistently put you not just out of your brain into your feeling. So get ready to remember the feelings we once used to have words for. And feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it. 94% of people who know what to do never do it. And I suspect it's 94% of you too. So it's all about doing, implementing, integrating, and becoming the whole self for the awesomeness that you are. So lots of questions about how do you feel physically, intention, or emotionally, and then what you think will be on top of that. Smile, relax, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, you guys are ready? I'm going to go ahead and start the video. Again, you can say this out loud, even though you might be on mute. You can type in the chat, whatever you're feeling. This video is about 2 minutes long.
Purple.
I love that, Olga.
Purple. Unmute, guys, unmute. Purple.
Blue, blue,
Green,
Yep.
green,
brown,
brown,
pink,
Purple.
That was a hard one.
Purple.
red, blue, brown,
brown,
purple, orange,
Green.
green,
Oops.
green,
green,
Yellow.
yellow,
yellow.
Okay, now we're hitting
gray,
now we're gonna hit round 2. So round 2 is gonna go just a tad bit faster. All right, ready?
Blue, purple,
Purple.
Purple.
purple,
fish, purple,
Black.
black,
black,
Black.
purple,
Pink.
purple,
green,
green, green,
Brown.
brown,
Yellow.
Yellow.
brown,
Tan.
brown,
Purple.
Purple.
blue,
brown,
Brown.
brown,
Gray.
Gray.
gray,
Purple.
Purple. Green.
purple,
Purple.
purple, green, green.
Guys are doing great. We have one more round. This is gonna be the fastest round.
green,
I love that. how people say it.
competitive,
Brown. Or
brown,
brown,
Oh,
yellow,
green,
blue,
purple.
brown,
Pink,
purple,
purple.
Gray. Purple.
purple, green,
green, brown, brown,
Black.
yellow,
That's tough. That was tough.
We did well.
Excellent. I love that you guys enjoyed that. So what you really want to do here is that moment in between where you had to, you saw the word, and then you're like, but wait a minute, that's not the color. There's this space in between that you felt something, whether it was excitement, curiosity, joy, frustration, whatever it is. I want you guys to go ahead and put it in the chat.
It was definitely
Nervous.
frustration, excitement. It was simultaneously like, oh my gosh, I'm competing. Oh my gosh, I'm a loser. I need to be first. And it was really interesting to observe there was internal things. There was just because there was a task. There was the conversation when they had, like, you cannot be stupid. You must super achieve as always. And then there was a competition with social presence, right? Like, oh my gosh, they all say it and I'm not. And that is like Napoleon cake of emotions that we created in addition to just feeling the task.
Exactly. So what you're tapping into right now is what we're going to be diving into, which is the connective tissue. The connective tissue is always communicating with you, and it is communicating with you emotions at the speed of sound. So it's like, boom, there it is. So for us to be able to negotiate and navigate through our lives optimally, we want to be able to understand how that connection works, and also understand when it happens, right? So we're very much in tune with, I'm feeling very anxious, I'm feeling very excited, I'm feeling very overwhelmed, and then we can move on and how do we deal with those kinds of emotions and those feelings. So you just had to practice on how you can tap into the connective tissue communicating to the brain. Now, that's a mind game. So now we're going to do some physical stuff. This isn't too difficult, but I'm going to have you guys stand up And if you have high heels on, you're probably going to want to take the high heels off. But if you have flat shoes on, great. If you want to go barefoot, I appreciate that big time.
And do move out a little bit so you can see yourself and others. It's cool. It's not a competition, but let's do
It's not a competition at all. And I get to sit, and I get to watch all of you. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to start to tap into actually the negotiation, okay, between brain and body, or body and brain, the negotiation that is possibly going to happen for some of you. So this is a one-legged stability drill. This is something that when I train my athletes, we do this just to kind of figure out where their instabilities might be, but this is also a great opportunity for you to tap into your own self-awareness. So I want you guys right now to take your arms out to your sides, and I want you to stand on your right leg. Let the left leg lift. Good. So now we're going to hold this position for a minute, and I want you to count in your head how many times you tap that left foot down to the ground, or how much you have to James Brown, okay? And we're going to make it a little bit harder. Now take your hands across your chest. All right, we're going to go for a 1 minute hold. Are you ready? And begin. Now you're going to count on your own. How many times do I have to touch the opposite foot? Excellent. I love the smiles on the face. Some people are very serious. This is serious.
I know, it's like, well, it takes them a minute, but they all be laughing. Guys, play, it's fun.
Olivia, I have my friend Olivia here. She knows this. She's very, very, very familiar with this exercise. Good. Some of you are like, hey, wait, this is good. You still have 35 seconds left, so stay there. Hands across chest. There you go. And you don't want that opposite leg to be balanced or secured by the other leg. You're just kind of feeling it out. 20 seconds left. Feel how much the foot is navigating with the earth, right? You've got a communication on that bottom of that foot through that ankle. It's like trying to stabilize itself. Excellent. Now uncross your arms, relax, shake it out a little bit. And now we're going to do the other side. Okay, so cross your hands across the chest, standing on the opposite side. Count how many times you touch the opposite foot. Ready? And begin. Excellent. Got some stable people. Dana's very stable, very zen. Excellent. So again, now I want you to also be aware of the difference in the bottom of this foot and ankle compared to the other one. You might feel a difference. You may not. Okay, but there's probably something slightly different about this side than there was about the other side. You have 20 seconds left. And then when you get done, I want you to type L for how many times you touched on the left foot, and write how many times you touched on the right foot really quickly in the chat. All right, come on out of that and let's go ahead into chat. How many times did you touch on the left foot? How many times did you touch on the right foot? Some of you may have zeros and you are at the optimal athlete level.
Touched or balanced, or both? Because I didn't touch, but I was certainly James Brown.
Certainly wobbling. And we'll talk about that after we get done with this exercise, because we're not done. This is very good. And so what I like is that many of you were like 0, 0, 0. I was super stable, super focused, eyes on the horizon, everything's great. Now let's bring in the element of challenge. Let's bring in some anxiety, okay? Let's go ahead and stand up again. Hands across the chest. Balance on your right leg, left leg lifted. Now close both eyes. 1 minute. One person said, I was closing my eyes. Yours rock solid.
Well, we always have like one, this genius.
Yeah.
Oh.
Excellent. And again, even if you feel very stable, what is the communication from the ground at the bottom of that foot through the ankle, through the leg? It's different now that the eyes are closed. Excellent. 10 more seconds. Very good. Excellent. Open your eyes, uncross your hands, shake it out a little bit. Now we're going to go to the opposite side. Okay, go ahead. Cross the hands across the chest. Lift the leg. Close both eyes. Excellent job, everybody. Some people are even having a hard time lifting the leg at all with the eyes closed. If that's your case, just open one eye. For those of you who I can see right now, all eyes are closed, keep both eyes closed, please. But for Rita, if you need to open one eye, open one eye. This will help just a little bit. That's great awareness. 20 seconds left.
Please be safe.
Be safe, exactly. 10 more seconds, and then you're gonna put in the chat what happened this time. Ready, and open the eyes, uncross the arms, let's chat about it. Yeah, good, Rita, I'm glad that one eye helped. Yes, right?
And it wasn't just how many times you touch it, it's also the feeling that you experience. Like, it was like, I really hate it. The leg is all built up, the hip is sore. So
Yeah.
just pay attention to the inner dialogue, which is the body is consistently talking.
Yes, and then for those of you who are perfectionists, this was a tough one, very serious face. I'm doing this, damn it, that's the way it's gonna be, right? So these are the ways that you respond, right? These are the ways that you respond to the challenge. So we threw something at you, right? Something unexpected, and this is your response. This isn't just your mental response, it's your physical response, right? Some of you may have tightened up just a little bit more to make sure I'm super stable, super rigid. This would be a response to a challenge.
And I'm just curious, Jessica, if I can ask people to like connect a little bit more and share. How many felt that your body changed? It was started telling you like, oh, my leg hurts, this hurts. It was a physical sensation. Like put in the chat is a physical, like put in the chat, physical, right? How many people felt that the inner voice came up judging you? The judge woke up like, oh my gosh, everyone is doing this. How come you're not doing this? Judge, did the judge show up? Big deal for me. Right? How many people felt embarrassment or shame or some form of like, oh, I shouldn't be, I should hide this, right? Yeah. Maybe for some. It just notice there's so many voices in our head, body, and emotions that are consistently participating in every decision or every challenge we're facing, whether we know it or not. And so one big thing for us, we hope that you come with a mosaic of who the heck are you inside and how many of you? Because it's like a toxic team talking all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have quite a few people are like judge, embarrassed, surprised. Someone even said that they actually were quiet. It was at peace, which is great because you want to be aware of where are you in space? When you have a challenge, where do you go? So for this one person, it was completely at peace. I'm good. I can handle a challenge like this, right? And for the rest of us, maybe we're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm a little bit shaken up. I need to kind of balance myself out a little bit. So this is just how your connective tissue is communicating to you once again, but in a time of challenge. So now what I want you guys to do is in the chat, I want you guys to put what you think is the structure of the body. And what I mean by that is what do you think keeps you vertical? Okay, so go ahead and put in the chat what you think that is. Spine, very good. No wrong answer. Abs, I love that. I love that. Core, very good, I love this. Great, brain, muscles, bone, absolutely. Clear vision, what a wonderful, that's awesome, I love that. I love that. Food, there you go. Blood, yes, focus. I love this. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. So what we're going to talk about a little bit is what really is the structure of the body. And I know some of you didn't I mentioned bones, which most people will look at that as the structure of the body. But we're going to actually dive into what that structure of the body is, and that is what is called connective tissue. Connective tissue is what holds everything together. Bones have space between them. Bones do not touch, right? So what keeps them in their space? And this is the connective tissue. And right now, Olga's going to demonstrate a little bit by using fruit to just try to explain the layers of fascia. And I'm going to use fascia and connective tissue kind of interchangeably before we start really diving into it. So Olga has a big old grapefruit, as you guys can see.
Yeah, so what we wanted to do, I mean, prepare for those of you who go to FCD countries and work with conflict, we will get you there. You will be shocked in a minute, but let's start cozy with something that smells awesome. Very good for you too. And it's really awesome to see, and always remember whenever you touch next citrus, what it is. So you can be in this inner connection any moment. So we're just gonna peel this awesome looking grapefruit. And while we start taking the skin out, you start realizing that there is this white space that most of you recognize when we go into any citrus. So I keep peeling it, making a mess as I go, but start looking into this element of a little something that we can peel off, right? And when we start peeling it off, we discover that there is a different layer inside that is smaller, but now it separates every single one of those pieces. All of them are wrapped into a small portion of some very thin piece. But if you look closely, it actually has some connections within. So it's not one layer, it's multiple connections, like multiverse. So we keep peeling this a little bit more, making even more mess in my office right now. I want you to just play with that because it's playful learning and super helpful. But notice when I got down to breaking this, and now I have, it's going to be so messy. Look at these individual pieces. Do you see them? And each of them also is wrapped in something. And we keep going down and down and down to the cell level, which we won't see unless we like super, super special vision, which we do have. But imagine that this is a cell. That means itself is also wrapped in this thing. And that's why this connective tissue is literally in every bits of cell of you and me and grapefruit and the universe. So was this helpful to play with that? Promise to remember to go into your body every time you touch a lemon. Now Jessica is going to hold you a bit more accountable. And we're going to take this nice and looking and not so happy now grapefruit. But before we take you to the real thing of you, because it could be disturbing to some, what I would like you to do is go back into your body and just bring a relaxation to your parasympathetic nervous system. So you can always know that you can always bring back yourself into the body. So take a deep breath. Just feel the heart is going. And then just release with a deep exhale, longer than you inhale, and just repeat this couple times. Take in all the beauty of life and love and light. And then exhale, release everything that is disturbing and stressful is gone. Take it a little bit more deep breath in. I'm alive, I'm happy, I'm learning, it's amazing, it's fun, it's curious, and release. Everything that is not serving me is going to be gone with a deeper exhale. And now we have a little bit calmer. Let's go into tougher vision, and we're going to look inside of you. Yay. Good luck.
So yes, you guys, we are going to be looking at a few disturbing pictures that may be disturbing to some of you. So again, Olivia's laughing. It could be a little intense. But if you at any time feel uncomfortable, just look away. I want to set it up a little bit with the example that Olga gave us of peeling that grapefruit. The first layer that you saw after the grapefruit color, which would basically be considered the skin, and think of it as our skin, was what would be considered the superficial fascia layer. So this is right below the skin. There's also a deep fascial layer, which kind of runs and innervates inside of our muscles. But there's the connective tissue layer that is ubiquitous. It is basically everywhere. So it's in between the superficial, it's in between the deep fascia, it's in between the muscles, it's surrounding the organs, it's all over the place. And this is the one that I'm really so super excited about, because science is now proving that this is our highest sensory organ. So we usually would think that our highest sensory organ would be our skin, which has 200 million nerve endings, but the connective tissue now is being shown to have 250 million nerve endings. So this is really important because it becomes our highest sensory organ, and it's something that we're not even, for the majority of us, tapped into. So I'm going to show you the deep level. I'm also going to show you, or the superficial level first, and then I'm going to show you the deep level, and then I'm going to show you the actual connective tissue, okay? Again, if you get disturbed by this, please look away.
Or breathe.
Or breathe. The clip is about 2 minutes long. So right here, what we're looking at is the superficial layer of the connective tissue. So this is a cadaver that is not embalmed, does not have any fluid in it that would cause it to change a different color. But on the right side, what you'll see is just the actual deeper tissue. But on the left side is the superficial fascia. So that's basically what it looks like. It's like we put on a scuba suit.
A big grapefruit.
Yes. Now, the deeper tissue, now this is in between, and this is a cadaver that has actually had some embalming fluid in it. So it's not the exact look and replica of what this deep fascia would look like, but in between muscle is this stretchy thing that's going on. That is our deeper fascia. Now, this is the connective tissue. And I know that when you're looking at this, you guys see all kinds of things familiar, like in nature, that you would see, like, is this a spider web? Is this, I mean, there's so many things that it replicates in nature that you've seen, right? But this is your connective tissue. And later on, we're going to see how it actually moves.
And it's beautiful to just know that you're
It's absolutely beautiful.
of multi-universe.
Now, this is Freya. Freya is actually the very first, I guess, sculpture, I'm going to say, of the actual connective tissue. This is not muscles. This is like everything that is connective tissue. And so it can blow your mind when you start to see how much connective tissue and fascia we are, as opposed to these segmented things that we may think we are. We're a bicep, we're a butt, we're a thigh, we're an arm, all of that kind of stuff. We're actually this one large. So any questions about what I just showed you really quickly? If you guys want to put in the chat, you could even say, you know what, that was totally creeping me out. Thanks for showing that. Now I'm going to be disturbed for the rest of my life. If you want to put that in there, that's fine too. But I want to just know, how did you guys feel about seeing that? And does it make you think differently about who you are? And go ahead and put that in the chat.
And so we talk about the whole human. It's really whole human. And it's called within, it's called with what you put on, it's called with how we connect to the universe.
Yeah, Tina, wicked cool. We are all connected from the deepest level. Absolutely.
And so if you're religious, or if you're spiritual, or if you want to become more of that, it's stabilizing too, to think that you are part of this amazingly incredible design of life. And there's nothing in this universe that you cannot take it, because the universe designed us to do that. So it helps to expand into more dimensions of the resources we can tap into, from spiritual to internal body, to emotional, to human, societal, technological, just keeping that bigger picture in mind.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to discuss a little bit about why we're even showing this and why we're talking about it, and, you know, how how can we utilize this information? So with science is now tapping into this intelligence and bringing it to light for not, it's usually something that is saved for, osteopaths or body workers or chiropractors, and we outsource to gain insight onto what's actually going in within ourselves. And the reason why I wanted to educate you guys on this is to let you know that your body is always, and you may intuitively know this, but it's always at a propensity to change, okay? But there are some certain things that you want to know about how long it might take, how do you use it, what does it hold on to, et cetera, et cetera. So connective tissue, and I'll give you an example of how it actually works, but we're not born with the iliotibial tract. That is the IT band. That is that band on the side of the leg that people roll out at the gym, right? They're like, oh man, it's so sore. And they roll it out, always trying to loosen it up. We're not born with that. That establishes over time. And it establishes due to our walking, okay? And the strain we have to catch ourselves when we're walking. So side to side, the iliotibial band starts to create more and more and more tension to support us in that position. So that's a physical thing. But it also creates more and more tension in areas of strain that are emotional. Okay, so if we have an emotional strain, a heavy burden, a heavy load, something that we carry, this is also showing up in the body and in the connective tissue, a buildup of keeping you in the position of your thought, all right? So for example, if I'm a person who is incredibly insecure and I really don't want to stand up tall, I may have a posture of a sunken chest and a hunched up position like this. This is my strain, okay, from my thought. The strain is going to show up physically of whatever thought this is, it's going to show up. So this is what it is. This means that the connective tissue is going to build more reinforcement in that area. That's just how it's going to protect itself. It says, okay, we're going to keep you in that area. This also means that the emotion stays in that area, right? So if we are having an emotion that has a limitation in whatever it is, that emotion does not leave the tissue. And I'll talk to you about that in a little bit too. The superficial fascia changes somewhat quickly, but the deep fascia, and this is the fascia that has the innervation of the nerves the most, is the very slowest to change. The muscles can change faster than that deep fascia. So the deep fascia was when I showed you the picture of the muscle fibers spreading and you saw the webbing, that's the deep fascia. And it does take time for that one to actually change. And so when we're looking at how we can navigate through life differently, it's about how can we, based on where we are right now and having our awareness right now, either contract or expand that connective tissue. How can we move it? How can we manipulate it? If we're in a position where we're thinking constantly in a limited mindset, we have created a contraction, a physical contraction. Our body will stay in that contraction. It's much harder to get out of expansion when you're in that contraction. For example, let's say some of you who sleep at night and you sleep in child's pose where you're all curled up like this. And in the morning you get up and it takes you like 3 minutes to stand up straight. I don't know if anybody has had that experience. If you have, raise your hand or put a thumbs up in the chat where you've like, oh man, my back, right? It's very hard to stand up. So this is the body being in its contracted state. So what we're always looking for is what state are we in where there is too much contraction and how can we add more expansion? The reason why this is also important is because the connective tissue is meant to recoil, right? It's not meant to stay stationary. It's meant to react to gravity. Gravity is our friend. Gravity should support us. But for most of us, when we're walking, we might feel like we're constantly falling, meaning that the connective tissue doesn't have the ability to rebound, going as efficiently as it could. So with that, what we're looking at is how do we get ourselves to get into more of a place of expansion, whether it's actual physical expansion or if it's actually mental expansion. With the connective tissue, and I talked about the 250 million nerve endings that we have in the connective tissue, I want to dive into which nerve endings are in there the most. I want to go into the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has those two branches of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our peace, and our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, or freeze response. Out of those 250 million nerve endings in the connective tissue, 40% of them are attached to the sympathetic nervous system. That means 100 million of those nerve endings are your fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, to me, that is absolutely astounding. It's like we are at the sympathetic nervous system, you know, that's what we are. It's like we're 40% of that freak out, right? So if you're ever wondering why you might go into overwhelm so consistently, or why you might have anxiety so consistently, or why you may not be able to bounce back from some kind of adverse situation, a lot of it has to do with how much you're communicating with that connective tissue, right? Do you really even understand what is actually happening? So now that you have the knowledge that 100 million nerve endings are attached to the sympathetic nervous system, what can we do to create more of a parasympathetic response? What can we do to be able to recoil from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic nervous response system quicker? How can we quickly recoil? This comes from moving that tissue. It comes from understanding the contraction and expansion naturally that's in our breathing and in our heart, okay?
Yeah, to jump in a little bit and repeat, because repetition is what absorbs us a little bit. But I'm just to reflect back what I'm hearing, and Jessica, correct me if it's not true, but we really have only two ways of being. We're in the parasympathetic, relaxed, or stress response. And stress response needed for us to get into action. So emotions that we feel, they're a biochemical cocktail, basically, that the body releases to elevate us into action. So when you have anger, it's actually a dopamine dump, so you can go and do something. So it's good stuff, but because it's biochemical, it can be frozen in our system, and then repeating these patterns become the new pattern that we think it's us, right?
Absolutely.
So we type like this for the last 9 hours, this contracts, that expands, and then I have a problem. I can't stay straight, and I can't walk with an open heart into a meeting or presentation. And we have not just need for the stress response to be, that's how evolution keeps us alive and moving forward, but we also have what, 2/3 of our neurometers, I think, hooked into the moving action, moving muscles. And so the way to do something is actually, guess what? Do it. Just do it, because knowing would not get us far. Like you can't quite learn to swim by reading a nice book, or even if you write a dissertation. And so I think we're going to be moving into actually doing it. Get ready.
So now that we kind of have this idea of like, okay, well, great. We've got these nerve endings, these sympathetic nerve endings in this tissue. This tissue does reinforce based on lines of strain, whether this is a physical line of strain or an emotional line of strain, it'll keep reinforcing. The interesting thing about the reinforcements is that they tend to be in very specific areas of the body. And I want to actually specifically talk about one in particular, because when you want to make a presentation, or if you are asked to step up, if you are asked to be in a powerful state, right? This comes from a lot of what your posture looks like. What are you representing? It doesn't just come from just the clothing that you wear, which is very important, but it comes from your posture. And a standing tall posture has a lot of openness of this particular area of the body. So this center. And this is one of the main areas that tends to have the most reinforcement. You'll have a lot of buildup of connective tissue here, but you'll also have a lot of buildup of connective tissue here and fatty deposits here. You may have seen some people who have what's called a dowager's hump, where there's the neck, and then all of a sudden the back of the neck pops out. That's a buildup of connective tissue in its response to try to fight the collapse from here, okay? So what I want to do is teach you how to actually stand up tall. And we're going to work with quite a few exercises. Well, not quite a few, but we're going to do some pairings. I call pairings is where it's one exercise feeds the other, feeds the other, feeds the other, but we're going to go back and forth between them for a little bit. So these exercises are intended to help you become aware of the limitations in that particular area of your range of motion. They're also intended to help you feel, once you get out of them, that you are standing taller. We do not want to have a false representation of standing tall. All of us can do that. But as we were talking about earlier, we want to be able to articulate it authentically what it is, right? So we want to be able to practice standing up tall, but it has to be authentic. One of the things that I want to show you is how we can actually, just a really quick video of how, and I'm not a video guru, so these videos are absolutely terrible, so just be kind, of how we actually judge people right off the bat based on that posture.
And they now know that there's like microseconds of making the first impression of trust and power and competence, because that's how we survive.
We're looking at this woman there's 4 pictures here, and we're just kind of looking at her in her posture. She's got a standing posture and she's got a seated posture. And I just want you to just kind of feel what she is articulating. She's in the same clothing, but she's articulating different things. Now, what I want you guys to do is I'm going to start this over and we're going to play this video again. And I want you in your chat to just tell me on this very first photo, what is her connective tissue articulating to you? And let's see what you guys say. Yes, lack of strength, uncertainty, withdrawn, beautiful, worry, right? We'll go to the second one. And again, what is she articulating? And type in the chat what you think of that. Concern and fear. Yep, closed, shameful for something she did or did not. Excellent, I love that. Bossy, power, confidence. And now we'll move on to what she's looking like in the last 2 photos. Okay, so then on this third one, what is she exuding here? And what is she articulating?
Self-assurance, power, presence, relaxed power, active power pose, confidence, arrogance. So it's interesting, confidence. It's interesting to see that we have such a multicultural presence here on this call, that our interpretation of the pose also can actually be different based on our experience and our cultural perspectives and programs that we all carry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things I want you to kind of pay attention to when we're looking at this, and this is the area that I want to work with the most, because this is the area, this heart area here is so super duper important when it comes to who we are and how we show up, right? This area is hugely important in how we show up, how we are able to embrace, how we are able to connect with another human being, how we are able to influence. It's not something that comes from the head, it comes from this space right here. And when we're looking at this, she's got this closed space. It doesn't feel approachable. It continues here, even in a seated posture. But now she's opening up to us. Even though, just because her hands are on her hips doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just that, can I see more? Is it lifted towards me? Is it asking me a question? Is it wanting me to come in? Right? And even here, seated, it's much different. So we're going to work with being able to open that for you guys and being able to tap into that. And before we do that, does anyone have any questions before we move on? Excellent. So let's move on.
Everyone is so stunned.
What did you say?
Everyone is probably too stunned to even ask questions at this point. But isn't it amazing? Let's just like say it's amazing. Jessica is amazing. If yes, just put yes, amazing in the chat.
And so what I want to do with you guys right now is talk to you about passive and active movement. We all can do passive movement, and you've seen this before when you see somebody who's doing a static stretch, like maybe a hurdler stretch for running, or maybe they're getting ready to go for a run and they're picking up their back, the lower part of their leg, and they're trying to stretch out their quad. This is all very passive movement. It doesn't mean that it is not affecting the connective tissue. It still is affecting the connective tissue, but we also want to have an active response of our connective tissue. And what this is reciprocal inhibition. What reciprocal inhibition means is that we're going to contract one side of the body, and upon that contraction, the equal opposite side, or its exact opposite side, needs to somewhat relax, okay? So what this is active. And active is when you get into an active stretch, I'll call it an active stretch, there's a different communication with the connective tissue to the brain. Passive is just allowing. Active is you are in charge, you are doing, you are looking for the response, you are creating the response. We're going to go back and forth between the passive and the active. So this is going to require you guys to have some wall space. So basically like what I've got here. So if you need to move things around and then take your camera off blur, if you have it on that, so I can see you. If you want to do this, you don't have to participate, but I encourage you to because it feels good.
And just to make sure that we have this and we consistently talk about this, finding time, finding space, I'm going to take my beauty stuff off and just watch how easy that is. But it's just decide to participate. So I'm a little bit less like inviting Jessica, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, so Olga always has to, when we work with Olga, she always has to take down everything.
Every day.
She has to take it down every night, put it back up.
Every day, and then you've seen every time you see our workshops, they're back on, right? So it's that easy. 1, 2, 3, and you can. And now take your skin out and get yourself into the ready to go mode. And now you're ready.
Now you're ready. So this very first one, again, talking about active and passive movement, this very first one is passive. You're going to be somewhat supported to go into a range of motion that you're comfortable with. Some of you who have shoulder pain, elbow pain, something like that, I'll give you some things to do to kind of avoid that. I'll explain it just a little bit. But this is what we call, my husband and I call wall down dog. So if you're familiar with yoga and you know the down dog position, that's with your hands and your feet on the ground. But what we're going to do here is have our hands against the wall. And this is, the start position is like getting into a position where, somebody has you're being frisked, if anybody knows what that means. So your hands are up against the wall, you're facing the wall. You're going to stick your butt out, and you're going to touch your forehead to the wall. Now, if your forehead cannot touch the wall and you're sticking your butt out, walk your feet a little bit closer. So again, if you're confused about it, hands on the wall first. My feet are about a yoga block width apart, both toes pointed straight towards the wall. I'm going to stick my butt out and I'm going to touch my forehead to the wall. And I'm going to hold the position. All right, so let me see what you guys got. Arms are straight. This is a hard part for a lot of people, is to get those arms straight. Stick your butt way out so your hips are back. Good. And I'm going to pin, I think I can pin Olga here so that just in case you're not sure what it should look like, check Olga out. The knees should stay straight. Good question. If it's too hard on the hamstrings, then keep your knees bent. It's okay. If you're having shoulder pain, right? If anybody is having shoulder pain, widen the stance of your hands. We're going to be in here for another 20 seconds. The elbows should not be touching the wall. The forearms should not be touching the wall. Yes, shoulder pain, yep. Open the hands, open the stance of the hands. Make it wider. Excellent. And relax. Come on out of that. So that's passive. And you know, the interesting thing about passive, sometimes it can cause you to really know your misalignment because it becomes painful, right? Active, on the other hand, should not be painful. Active, you're way more in charge of what's happening. So we're going to move into the active position. This is the very opposite of what we just did. What we just did was open this up. Now we're going to close it. So we're going to go into a forward fold, and we're going to start off super easy with our forward fold. You're going to use your wall again. Your butt's going to be against the wall. And some of you can easily go into a forward fold, and if you can, great. But I want you to try this one as well. So the feet are about a yoga block width apart. And if you have really bad back problems, the wall's going to help, but you can also just place your hands right on your thighs when we do this. And your goal here is to almost round that back. So if you do cat-cow pose, we're actually looking at the cat pose. And what I want you to do is contract the abs. You can allow the head to just relax, and you're going to go to a range of motion that is comfortable for you. Your heels are about a foot away from the wall. And I will also pin Olga if you're interested. Now, with Olga, what I want you guys, yeah, exactly. And I'm going to take a few of you guys don't mind, and we're going to look at you. Feels good though. Yes, it does. A little bit of calf pain. This is great. This is the connective tissue. And if you have calf pain, this is the connective tissue telling you where your issue might be sitting. And we're just going to hold that. Again, you're contracting the abs, contracting the abs, contracting the abs. So we're going to sit for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to slowly come out of that position. Now, you guys can go ahead in the chat and put down how you felt for both of them. The difference that you felt, this is all about you. This isn't about anybody else. What did you feel on your passive? What did you feel on your active? And even if you felt nothing, oh, I didn't feel anything, put it down. That's perfect. Yep, stretch and tense and then felt lighter. Excellent. Found the passive more relaxing. Very good. Active was easier. Awesome. Active was more relaxing for me. Beautiful. Thighs hurt on active. Oh, awesome. We're going to talk about that. Passive felt like it was hard to breathe. Oh, that's awesome. Very good. Olivia, active just felt better. Yeah, it does. It feels better to me too. So now we're going to go back and forth between these guys. And so the intention is to help gain more range of motion. So now you're going to have to become very aware of the difference that is happening with you. So we're going to go back to our passive. So everybody stand back up. Now we're just going to go through rounds of this. So get into your passive position. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more dramatic, or if you feel like, hey, wait a minute, I feel like I have more range of motion, scoot your feet back away from the wall just a little bit. Or if your hands were really wide and you feel like, hey, the shoulder pain's dissipating, bring your arms in a little closer. So you got 2 ways of doing this. So let's go back to our passive. You can progress it by stepping a little farther back. Yes, nice, Dana. Excellent. And again, you're just touching the forehead to the wall. Now, Dana, you have a little bit more room. So if you scoot your butt back a little bit more and your feet back, allow your hands to slide down with you. So feel what happens. You're going to get lower and you're going to feel that part of the chest. Some of you may feel it a little bit in the lower back, and I can talk to you about that, or mid back. But what you're wanting is an opening of the armpits, which is our ability to embrace someone. Opening of the armpits, and then you'll also feel an opening of the chest. Keep those arms nice and straight, and make sure the forearms are not touching the wall. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come off the wall, nice and easy. Excellent. And now you're going to go into your forward fold. So if you want to continue to have your butt against the wall, great. But if you want to just go into your forward fold, go ahead into your forward fold with no wall support. Some of you are very good at that. But regardless, it must be active, meaning there's got to be a contraction of the abdominals to be able to help open up and lengthen the spine. Excellent work, everybody. Breathing is a trick in this pose, especially when you're contracting the abs. Good work. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, exhale, come back up to standing. Excellent. Now again, off to the passive. Back on the wall. This time you're going to feel a difference in the spine. If you want to go for it by having more range of motion, please do. Explore it. One thing I really want you to do is make sure that your hips, your knees, and your ankles are in alignment with each other, okay? So if you feel like your butt is too far forward, really sit that butt back, and that's going to require you to slide your hands down the wall a little bit more, and it's going to require you to have more range of motion. Nice. Again, I want you to pay attention to the opening of the armpits. Pay attention to the chest opening. The fascia is going to change just a little bit here too, so some of you may feel like you can gain more range of motion. Go ahead and do that for the last 5 seconds. In passive, the abs can be they do not need to be supported unless you are experiencing lower back pain. Let's come on out of that. This is a really good question from Tina. So Tina asked, in the passive, should my abs be relaxed? Now, they can be relaxed. If you have a pain in the mid or lower back, they need to be engaged. Okay, so just understand that, and only by slightly engaged. Now let's go into our forward fold. Now I want to show you one more trick with the forward fold for those of you who are good at forward fold. You can now face the wall, and this is only for those of you who are advanced. Everybody else, if you want the butt against the wall or just go into forward fold, do that. But if you're advanced, you're going to stand close to the wall, and you're actually going to take the back and the spine in this position against the wall. Can you guys see me? Yeah, you can. Okay. So this is another way of getting into more of a forward fold, but you still want to make sure that you contract the abs. Let's go ahead and work with that one. Feels like a standing cat-cow. That's exactly what it is. So for those of you who have knee issues, can't get on the ground, or maybe you don't want to get on the ground because there isn't any space for you to get on the ground, this is an awesome way to do cat-cow, and it's even more active. Muscle spasms, I saw that somebody got a muscle spasm in this, and this is actually really good because it's showing you and bringing awareness that imbalance. Nice, Dana, keep contracting those abs, beautiful. And we're only gonna do one more round after this, and then we'll talk about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come on up. And then we're going to do our very, very last round. We're holding for about 45 seconds each one. All right, last one. Again, you're communicating with your connective tissue here. You're negotiating with it. You're navigating with it. You are understanding how it wants to move, how it wants to transition. Does it want to move? Does it not want to move? You're understanding more about yourself through these poses. So Olga, walk your feet up a little bit more, right underneath your butt, and then slide your arms down just a little bit. Yes. Again, if you're having shoulder pain, take the arms out a little wider. You can still do the pose, but take the arms out a little wider. Yes, you have back issues. It is absolutely safe to do these, but we can talk a little bit more about what you could experience and how to help you. Let's come on out of that, and then we're going to go into our forward fold. If you want to progress it this time on your forward fold, feel free to go ahead and do that. Whether that's if you had your butt against the wall and now you take your butt off the wall and you just do it straight, or whether it's you have your back against the wall. When you're doing the back against the wall one, I want to make sure that you get your shoulders against the wall. So I don't want just the back of the neck, because that can really crank on the back of the neck. So make sure you also get your shoulders against the wall and feel the difference of that. Yeah, forward fold, for those of you who have back issues, is going to be a bear. But unfortunately, it's one of those things that you really do want to do.
We can use boxes to support ourselves, right, Jessica?
Oh yeah, of course. On the top of the head, you can, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and inhale, exhale, and come on out of that position. Now, I want you to just sit with this for maybe about 10, 15 seconds, and then I want you to put in the chat what you felt and what you feel right now. So just be aware of, what does the body feel like right at this moment? You know, whether it's, I feel like I can breathe a little bit more. I feel like my arms feel a little bit looser. I feel like I can move my upper body just a little bit more. Yeah, I feel less tension and taller. Neck hurts, but chest more open. This is good feedback. Olivia feels light. I feel more relaxed, more aware of tensions in my body. A bit sore in the armpits. On point. On point. Improved posture. And really what you're looking at is like, do I have a lifting of, right? Do I have an expansion? I have created an expansion for myself. So if we're having issues where we may feel limited, remember, this is just contraction. We have to go through contraction, expansion. That is life, right? But if we're staying in way more contraction than we are in expansion, how can we get to expansion physically? So I really like that some of you actually felt some discomfort, some pain in the neck, or something just wasn't really right. A lot of this has to do with how you have positioned yourself in your environment. This is something that, for the most part, has been created by you, unless it's some kind of external blow that happened to you, like, for example, a car accident or some sports injury or something like that, that has kind of morphed the tissue without the thought, but it's kind of morphed the tissue into something. But honestly, when you have these kinds of pains, there's a couple of things that can happen. One, we overdid the position. So if your neck kind of hurts, you could be like this, like super forcing the chin to try to be as close to the chest as possible. Okay, that's one thing that could have happened, and have a little bit more relaxation with that. Did any one of you have, put a thumbs up in the chat, have mid back pain or lower back pain in the passive movement? Thumbs up, okay. Yep, exactly. So Dana had, I'm going to pin Dana, and Dana had a little bit of back pain. So we're just going to go into the position. So Dana, if you don't mind going into the position for me of the passive. Dana and I have very similar posture issues where there's a lot of movement in a certain part of the back, almost too much movement. So let's go ahead and put your hands back up on the wall, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I don't know if anyone else had those kinds of issues with it, but when we have an area of pain, so she had hers at the lower back just a little bit, and right now she's not, yeah, she may, tell me if you can feel it just a little bit, and if not, we'll kind of get you there. But what she can do is work out of the pain. So what this is going to mean is that she's going to have to lift a little bit of her tailbone or her lower back. She's going to have to lift it instead of having it fall. Yes, exactly. And it turns. So right now, do you feel your pain? I want you to go back and forth to feeling it. Did you feel it when you collapse? And do you feel it when you work out of it?
Yeah, you can tell the difference.
Tell the difference, right? So it's not that she is doing something wrong. It's that the pain is saying, hey, look, I'm in an area of collapse. I need you to work against that area. Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much. And I'm going to show you my area of collapse so that you guys know what that means. And then you guys will be able to see it. It's pretty severe. So you can even see it right here from right off the bat. Look at the area of collapse would be in my mid-back. Why? Because it's overly scooped. Okay, it's not in this position where it's resistance. And I'll go ahead and pin myself so you guys can see it just a little bit. I always like picking on myself for sure. Okay, here we go. So look at the area of collapse. Everybody see that? Put a thumbs up. I'm going to point right to it. Thumbs up in the chat. Okay, this is my area of weakness. This is where I move from. I'm what's called a waist bender. I pick things up like this. I put things down like that. I bend from here. I don't necessarily bend from the waist, the hips. It takes me a long time. It took me a long time to learn how to do that. So when I get into this position, I can have pain right in my area of collapse. That makes sense to everyone. So instead of working farther into it or saying, I'm never going to do this pose again, I'm going to work against the resistance, against the collapse. And you see how now my spine is a lot straighter. Now I'm in a better place. I'm not in any pain. Okay? Let me know if you guys have questions about working in and out of collapses. And I hope everyone kind of understood what that meant, because it's a little bit of a tangent someplace else. Yeah, hypermobile, absolutely. Well, I want to talk about hypermobility really quickly. We have a couple of minutes left here. Hypermobility is when a joint can pass its full range of motion. Okay, so you might see some people who have hyperextended knees where the knees sit back, or hyperextended elbows. I am hypermobile. There are people who are just at the propensity of being hypermobile. One of the ways you can tell if you're hypermobile is if you can take your thumb and touch it to your wrist. Okay? And if you cannot do that, you're most likely not hypermobile. If you can, you probably are. The scary thing about being hypermobile is that this is a dangerous place to be. Hypermobility is not something, and this is the one thing where connective tissue does not necessarily change. This is the not so fun thing about hypermobility. Hypermobility is like when you take a plastic bag and you stretch it, it's not going to bounce back. That's the same way that the connective tissue works with hypermobility. But what you can do with hypermobility is build the strength around the joint by improving the muscle capacity and improving the muscle strength. That will help you stay in a position where you're not going to get injured. But hypermobility is not a great place to be. So yes, I am hypermobile. Someone asked about the pain in the shoulders. This one can come from all kinds of things. So remember that the shoulder blades themselves are a floating bone. They're not attached to anything. What governs where the shoulders are is where your spine is. So if your spine is out of alignment, the shoulders are going to have to accommodate to that. So the main thing about shoulder pain is not necessarily getting rid of the shoulder pain, but getting your back into a better aligned position. So Olga, I think that's all I have.
Well, first of all, it was awesome, like huge thank you, right? And what is interesting, we have amazing people in this audience. I mean, recognize some of them. We have like a major pain specialist sitting there. We have people who are transformative in the impact of the world. We have people from, you know, people who make amazing things in the world. And what we were hoping for with this conversation, with being in touch with your body, with all the conversations we have every single Wednesday this month and taking it forward, that I hope you got another look into amazing potential that you have if only you understand what it is, the awareness, how the mechanics of this body or mind or emotions or impact or success work, and how to start balancing them out, because if you don't know, you can learn. If you don't have, you can train. If you don't have support, you can connect with Jessica, with me, with people around who do know how. And just the only thing that stops us is our own decision that I'm here. And we just want to not shrink your dreams. If you feel that it's in the body, connect with Jessica. Those of you who want to put more effort into this, I can share information with you. Just reach out. You have a form and ask the question in the form, and we'll put you in touch with Jessica directly. But I would like to start bringing us back home into whole self. What we talked about was how you build this microcosmos within, right? Jessica was showing us the bones and nervous system and how it's not the same as connective tissue, and how emotions are not just the thought or idea, it's also biochemical concept that lives literally in your body. Then we have this other skin, right? We just changed. Firuza made a comment. She was not ready with this other skin. How she showed up. She was not prepared for this exercise. That matters. And then we make impression on people by just opening our heart. And it's not just beautiful expression. It's also how we show up posture-wise, but it also communicate with empathy, with kindness with each other. And we don't know how we learn. It's also boundaries, like people know when you are coming strong, but kind. All of this is going to be something we can master. So then we go and we create the world, and we negotiate all the time. And there's a beautiful video that we might include. We have a couple of minutes. Maybe we can finish with a very playful thing. We will bring it all together, wholeness, right?
Yes, would you like me to kind of show you guys? This is a little game to play on can you guess what is what? And you have 4 options. We've got connective tissue, we've got artificial intelligence, we have neurons, and we have mycelium.
Mycelium is the underground network of, I don't know, mushrooms and roots.
Absolutely. Okay. Guess what's what?
So play it silently initially, right? And then we're going to go and play the game, or?
Yeah, this is the game here. Can you guess? And I'm showing all the video first. It's only a minute long. And then we'll go back and we'll see, can you guess what is what? And sorry, I have all the Shutterstock stuff on there, the watermarks, but you guys can guess. So we'll play it one more time after this. Don't worry about the Pond 5.
And hopefully you feel confused what you're looking at. That's the whole point of the game too, to understand that we're all the same thing. The whole universe is all multiverses of us.
All right, so now put in the chat what you think this is. Again, you've got connective tissue, artificial intelligence, mycelium, and brain neurons. Now, this one. This one, what is this?
We have mycelium, we have brain cells, we have nerves, mycelium.
Artificial
Mycelium seems to win.
connective tissue.
Brain cells, neurons, mycelium. Brain cells, brain.
Okay, so this is connective tissue. So the very first video, this is connective tissue. And so when I told you earlier how we would actually be able to see it split and do its stuff, that's exactly how connective tissue works. It moves around, it reinforces. It's what is meant to protect us. The second one is AI.
Which is structured after the neurosystems that the scientists are discovering in the brain of human beings. And so we will be talking about technology as an extension of human capacity that we can build, or it will build us. And we don't want the second option.
This one is mycelium. And then obviously, the last one will be the neurons.
And that's where the programs of the past are sitting, our cultural, social, familial norms, right? Everything that boxes us up, that's part of that neurosystem conditioning. So how do you feel about the game? I hope it was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Jessica. It's always amazing to dive deeper. It was the fun game. 2 questions that we always end with. Did you get the intention that you set for this? Did it match the expectations? Did you get your intention? And number 2, what is the one thing you're going to take forward doing or stop doing, learning, saying, the action, the behavior that might change the trajectory of your life from now on? So we have unexpected in a positive way, awesome awareness of the body and myself, awesome. What is one thing you will do, not know, not like, not enjoy, but do differently, either start or stop doing based on what you learned and the intention you set that might change your life? And by the way, people who you love and lead watch you. They will start changing as well. That's how we create impact. And we, above all, are the massive, powerful people who can create it for us, for people we love, people we lead, and the world we create. And what is the one biggest takeaway that you're taking away? What's the aha moment, the discovery that you did not know, and now you can have this insight that might give you a different key to your personal awesomeness and empowerment? Pause regularly, says Desi. Try to connect with my body tissues. Do passive and active stretches, balancing out, contract and expand, give and get, receive, ask and offer. Not just in body, but in life. Love learning more, Delnara, that's awesome. But what are you going to do with this action? That's my question. Standing active and passive stretching. Session was valuable. Respect for my body. Respect for my body. That's an awesome. Jessica, what's your biggest takeaway today?
My biggest takeaway, that there's so much more that I can explore and experience that will help me be better at what I'm doing. And I hope that you all kind of grasp that a little bit, that we have this untapped intelligence that is always communicating with us, and it's always telling us what is going on in an internal way and even in an external way. It's always there and ready for your expansion. And I hope that you guys kind of get a little bit of an idea of what that looks like and how to practice it and use it. And you can use this wall exercise over and over. You do it every single day, and it will change every single day. It'll open up new things for you, to open up new ideas for you, open up new concepts. So hopefully my biggest takeaway was, yeah, there's so much to do, and there's so much that we can explore with our untapped intelligence.
Don't shrink your dreams. Build up your mindset, build up your skills, build up your communication, build up the community, but don't shrink your dreams. That's what I believe in. So with that, we're going to close off this session. I personally want to thank Jessica once again and Firuza for helping many people who showed up. You choose us. But I also want to thank you for playing the game and expanding our mind and skills and strategies and abilities so we can take accountability. We create the world that tomorrow will be solving the problems again. And I personally, mom of 5, I want this world to be a beautiful place, healthy planet where every child grows in joy, love, and peace. And we together, and only together, can create that. So my personal mission, 3 million people transformed by 2025. Thank you for playing big with this mission. Please reach out. Please, please, please commune with us, because only together we can do this. It's systemic change, and we're responsible for the world we create. So this was my little to the stars moment, but thank you so much. Jessica probably will be back. And if you want to work with Jessica, let me know and I will connect you. Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody. Bye-bye.